Let's make some noise and welcome, get up out your seats for the one and only Miss Chloe Weaver.
Hello. I'm guessing most of you don't know my name, but you have seen me before because I'm one of these people. I'm a behind-the-scenes person. I work on movies, as they introduce me. And I know you've had the thought, like, there's so many names up there. Like when you're watching a Marvel movie, you're like, those jobs aren't real. There's too many people. It can't possibly be right. But that's me. I'm up there, and this is the camera department. And I like to highlight this because you can see just how many roles there are. And I've been doing this for 15 years now, so I've had an opportunity to do all those roles. I wanted to show you some highlights, talk about those. Here I am on The Big Bang Theory. I clapped the slate there on The Big Bang Theory for a good while. I camera operate on the show Hacks on HBO, best show on television. Yes. That's me. I thought it would make you laugh. You have to just trust me that that's me. And then there's Gene Smart there. I recently shot the Friends reunion on HBO, which was a good time. Here's a selfie with Jennifer Aniston that I get to have forever. I was recently featured in an Apple ad because I was giving advice on how to shoot with your phone cinematically. So here I am. This airs in Singapore. You cannot search for it, but I promise it's real. So when people ask me to speak at events like this, you'd think that you're getting someone like really confident, who's really comfortable with their work. But see, really dramatic. That's not me. I'm not very comfortable with this. I'm not comfortable with speaking. I'm not really comfortable with my work. I've built a freelance career on saying yes to things that really terrify me. So I wanted to talk about that, and I wanted to talk about why it really works. Here we are, backstory about me here. This is young Chloe. Pretty proficient with cameras. Like in high school, I shot movies. I mean, certainly this shot of the octopus is not valuable in any way. I don't know what I was doing here. But I did shoot a lot of movies, and I shot weddings, and I was good at photography. So going to film school was a natural choice for me. I was cultivating myself before then with these weddings and things that I would shoot. So, when you go to film school, the point is you arrive, you share your work, and you make things with other people like while you all still suck at it. And a successful film student will leave school, and they'll have many films under their belt, and they'll get all the messy stuff out, and they'll have a bunch of colleagues to work with in the industry, like right the second you get out of there. So the day I officially began my film courses, and the day that my bright future in film was supposed to start, I walked into the halls of my school here in the film department, and I just became like crippled with self-doubt. Like I was instantly introduced to all these other students, and I saw their work, and I just thought like my work was garbage, and I couldn't get out of that mind state. I questioned everything I'd ever done. I just felt like everything was so flawed. Like, was I going to show them some wedding footage that I had shot? Like I wasn't ready. So for someone who knew they wanted to do camera work, like you could find me doing everything but that. I chose jobs like when I got on set with other people that were like kind of more or less like you couldn't screw them up, insignificant roles. Like I would like move the background actors around, or I would hold the boom mic or something like that. I was just like avoiding lighting and camera where I thought I would like really be judged. And I found myself jealous of all those other students that were like doing the work, like leading, making films of their own, but I couldn't expose myself like that. I was just like too shy. I shied away from it, and I just, I managed to get to graduation day. That's a shot my mom sent me. And I didn't have any reliable skills or experience. I couldn't load film. I couldn't light an actor. I hadn't written a script, and I was leaving film school with no thesis film. So here I am smiling for my parents, but like really, I was like, oh. Like the reality set in that I was in a bit of trouble, and I needed a break. So that summer, a friend of mine from college had offered me a job on his movie. Like, I really needed this. And he's one of the guys that kind of scared me. He was so successful and so good at his work. So when he offered me the position, and he kind of cornered me, and he said, well, what would you want to do on it? Like, some confidence miracle happened, and I told him, camera work. So that was like, that stroke of luck right there, it set me on my path. I don't know, it changed my career. Here I am. That's young Chloe there. That summer, I took a job with that gentleman, and I was working in the role of camera assistant. So a camera assistant is like the manager of camera gear. Like, you move it around, you know how it works, you manage it, and you manage a few people in the department. So, like, if you want the camera up there on that hill with a 50mm lens, like the camera assistants, they're going to go make that happen for you. It's really hands-on. So here I am, like, happy, deer in the headlights type of look for me there. I take another job that summer in New York City, and I was an AC again, a camera assistant. Sorry, this picture's not resolving well, but it's looking really good down here. I was an AC again, but this time I was also loading film. So I was learning all these new things all the time. So it was hot. I was in New York City. Here's a film camera here on the back is a magazine where the film goes. And you got to imagine that I'm living my best life now. I'm in New York City. It's humid. There's cars honking. And this film is being made like close to Central Park. So I'm loading film. I got my hands in the changing tent. You can imagine like a camping tent, but it's like light, it steals the light in. I got my two hands in there. And I'm doing this fragile operation where I'm like taking film out of the canister and putting it in the magazine. So I'm very focused. I'm doing this like delicate work. And people are waiting on me, and like cars are honking, and people are coming out of the subway and like brushing against me, and I'm like just really trying to be focused here. And it sounds really stressful and like uncomfortable, and I was just like beaming. I was so happy. Like someone had finally trusted me to do this like really important work. I was valued. I was like getting it done. I had my hands in the bag, literally. And that was the moment I fell in love with the job. And I fell in love with like the idea that someone had trusted me with the job. So why had I avoided this for all these years? I was like on a roll after that. I was just working all kinds of jobs all over town, telling everybody what I wanted to do. And the thing about film jobs is like they're pretty short. A commercial's like 1 or 2 days. I was working on student films at the time. They were like 2, 3 days, 1 week. Nowadays, like even a TV show is like a couple months at the max. So there's a lot of changeover. And in a couple short years, I'd done an explosive amount of work. I'd met a lot of people. I'd gained a bunch of mentors, and they were coaching me how to do my job better. I did make mistakes in this time, of course. I was full of mistakes, and one memorable one was when I was slating, and I hit Beyonce right in the boob. Someone's trusting me with a slate, though, again. I get more chances, even though I'm messing up. And I learned that it's really about my personality. People are hiring me because of my personality. Like, mistakes are okay. And what matters is, I'm being hired for my character. Like, Ashton liked me. Talent was kind of secondary, So I learned that, like, in order to stay really, really busy, I should learn how to do all the roles in the camera department. Then I could just take jobs as they come. I'm like so talented that way. So to give you perspective on what I mean, here's the hierarchy of the camera department. So director of photography at the top. That's the person who oversees everything, like the creator of making all the choices with camera and lighting. Underneath that, you got a camera operator, which I think speaks for itself. There's lots of camera operators in this room. I see you all. Then you go into the ACs that I talked about, the camera assistants. There's a first assistant and a second assistant. They work together, and at the bottom, there's a loader. So I've climbed up this. I've climbed down it. I've done it out of order. I've mixed it around. And what I mean is, like, I would work as an operator 1 week on a reality show, and then the next week, I'd be like coiling cable on Captain America. I would just do like whatever was good, wherever I could learn something from someone. So flash forward a number of years, and I'm a pretty accomplished AC at this point, and I'm pulling focus now, which I'll explain. And this is where I have my major F up. So here's this gentleman here is Danny Motor. This is a really established cinematographer, and this is his crew. I was working for him for the first time here, and it was a really big deal. It was a big deal for him because it was his biggest movie to date, and it was a big deal for me because he was a new acquaintance, and I really wanted to do him a solid. I didn't want to let him down. So he gets his biggest movie yet. It's called The Secret in Their Eyes, which is a remake of an Oscar-winning foreign film. And as you can see, it stars Julia Roberts, Nicole Kidman, and Chiwetel Ejiofor. And man, I was panicked. This is like a big show, you know? And my job at the time was a focus puller. It's also called a first AC. And what that person does essentially is like, if you can imagine when you hold up your manual camera and you twist the lens till it's in focus, that's like what a focus puller does all the time, but it's attached, like that lens is attached to a big cinema camera. So essentially like if the camera moves or if an actor moves, you need to adjust that focus to compensate that moving target, right? So it sounds simple. It's like not simple at all, but that's technically what they're doing the whole time. So let's talk about the shot that almost killed my career here. All right, this is traumatic. Nicole Kidman, she emerges into this room and she walks down this aisle of files. My camera's on a dolly on this other aisle getting this shot here. And we're tracking alongside her. Sounds easy enough. We come around the corner at the end, we turn the corner, and we come into a close-up of Nicole. All right, I've done a million harder shots than this, but like, you know, you can see things are moving. I'm having to compensate the focus. That little pesky turn, though, it kept getting me. And I kept buzzing the focus when we came around the turn. So like what it would look like is like, here's Nicole Kidman, beautiful actress, here she is, here she is. Oh, her eyes went soft, and we've got her again. This was my nightmare. This is my responsibility. So we've done this shot several times now, and the director was happy with Nicole's performance. So of course he was like, okay, let's move on. And I'm like, but my performance wasn't good. So I was like, I'm gonna go speak up and ask for another take at this, which is like a little bonkers. But I felt like I didn't have a choice. Like I'd screwed up this moment and I wasn't satisfied. So the director grants me another chance. We reset it from the top. Here we go again, we're tracking with her. We come around the corner and I do the same thing again, it buzzes. And you know, I'm like, goodbye career, goodbye Danny, whom I just met. I'm just gonna go lie in my bed forever, I think. That's my only other option now, I don't know. And so I screwed it up the second time. So now my only real option is to approach Oscar-winning Academy Award actress Nicole Kidman directly, and I say, Nicole, may I please have another chance at this? Like, this is really technically difficult, and she obliges. So we reset to the top again, my hands are shaking, because the way it works is you do this turning on this knob, so I'm just like, here we go. And we're gonna turn the knob just right this time, right, Chloe? And we start again, and this time we come around the corner, I get it right, and we get through it. Thank God, I'm like, this is over finally. And I give a little thumbs up to the director, and he's like, okay. So he announced that Nicole's got a wardrobe change, and she's gonna come right back, and we're gonna do this exact same shot, but it's 10 years later. And I'm like, mother. So, I mean, I can't imagine a worse situation. And this really made me reflect, right? Like, it's a pivotal moment. How crazy is it that like my performance, excuse me, if I can't do my job, I can affect the performance of this actor. And like that's the reality of a focus puller all the time. Like you can always screw that up. That's a lot of pressure. I was like, I don't know if this life is for me. So it sent me, what I decided was like, I really think that I kind of ended up here in focus pulling because I like meandered my way here and I was like pretty decent at it. But what I really want, I want Danny's job. I want a light and like, I want to direct the camera. So I was like, okay, I think this is my signal to like stop this super like gut-wrenching technical job and try to pursue shooting, being a DP. So I take aggressive steps to seek those opportunities out. And it's like this interesting luxury that you have as a freelancer, right? Because you can still do the steady job. Like I didn't just like quit focus pulling, like I needed money. So I kept doing it, but on the side I created opportunities for me to go find people to shoot for. And I'm going to breeze through like a lot of time period here, and you'll just have to trust me that I did like tons of work at this. I shot every opportunity I could. I bought a camera that would make me more marketable as a DP, and I just like said yes to everything I could. The reason that I took every job offer was because I actually shot a movie about a detective skateboarding dog. And it's like feature length. Right? This is it. Pause PI. All right? It's John Lovitz does the voice of the dog, which does make it better. And it's silly. It's a silly job. They're not all winners, but like I learned a lot. I got to light like these night sequences, right, where like the detective dog has to go break into the mansion and steal the deed to the property, which he steals. And but this was like genuinely a great opportunity, like big night exteriors for lighting. Like that's amazing. And I got to, I inherited a crew in South Carolina of all these strangers, and I proved to myself that I could do that. And I shot stunts, which I'd never done. So, this is clearly photoshopped. It's not a masterpiece, but like I did it. And in the midst of this desire for me to change my position from focus puller to DP, I got the job offer of a lifetime. I got a call to join a small documentary crew in Australia. And the details were kind of vague, but it was supposed to be like something intimate about chefs. And I was told that I would get to eat like lots of food. And I was thinking like, small documentary, that sounds great. I want to escape this big budget pressure, so yes, sign me up. So a small group of people went on to make several episodes of TV that would become the Netflix series Chef's Table. And it was dreamy. So if you haven't seen the show, just know that it's become like kind of the gold standard of documentary cinematography. Like it's iconic in the way that the food is shot. And nowadays, like a lot of documentaries strive to have a chef's table look because really it was just the first of its kind, and it transformed like the doc sphere into a more movie-like place. Like we used Cine cameras, we used prime lenses, we shot with shallow depth of field, and we used slow motion and drones and things that like you're used to seeing in movies. It became like a standard in which like changed the whole documentary field in general. So now I think you'll agree that when you see documentaries, like they're much more pleasing to watch than they were 10 years ago. So this show took me to 30 countries in 5 years. It was an awesome time. I ate moose lips in Russia. Not good. I was hand-fed sushi while shooting. I have actually a million stories about food I could tell you, but I'll just say that the show was very ambitious and very delicious, and I made all these great friendships. And because of how ambitious it was, I had a lot of opportunities to take the camera and go do some shooting of my own, like little scenes, or I would shoot all the B-roll and establishing shots in Russia when we arrived, and I was getting these chances. And I had been shooting on the side things like the brilliant Pause PI, and these producers understood that I had these additional talents outside of my focus pulling abilities. So by the 3rd season of Chef's Table, I was offered an episode of my own shoot. And there's a lot more to say about that, but because of this little show, I was able to change my career from being a focus puller to a director of photography. And as a visual reference of what kind of leap in prestige that is to become a DP, they get their own slide. Yeah. Right? And I don't know if I've said enough about what a DP does, but essentially like they're the right hand to the director, right? They want to bring the vision to fruition through the camera and lighting work. They craft it, they run the departments that execute all that. So essentially like good or bad, like you own that image, like that is your masterpiece. And I really liked that. I thought that was like a lot of mental work, and I just like loved being in charge of that. So this transition to DP, this happened over 5 years ago now. So I've been working, and my new profile of images, these things that now I have ownership of, all the different shows I've had and all these images I've produced are now my portfolio. And this is how I show others what I can do. I show my work now. I think that's ironic about my situation now, because in college I didn't want to show my work, and now I have to show my work. That's how I get my jobs. So here's some of my work, and I think that college Chloe would be proud. And I spoke to you at the beginning about being uncomfortable with my work, which is very true. Like, I'm still very afraid of judgment, and I'm very afraid of failure. And I know that there are a lot better cinematographers out there. And Cara told me that I should delete my Instagram and not follow them. And maybe, because I'm intimidated by them, but the intimidation has created this very intense focus for me, where I'm super, super driven to get better all the time. What happens when I'm scared for a job is I just prep like crazy. And I bring all my best people with me, and I call my mentors for advice, and I get freaky about studying lighting, and I just prepare. And so what happens is I'm scared up until the very moment that the job starts, and then the muscle memory, it kicks in. And the inherent taste that I've developed over all these jobs, it kicks in. And that's why I'm able to be scared and have a ball at the same time, because there's already a base there. So with every job that passes, you get through it, and you've proven something more to yourself. So here's the wrap up. I've shared a lot of embarrassing things with you, a lot of embarrassing images with you. So what I want you to remember is not that I've had the same haircut for my whole life. I want you to forget that, but I want you to remember some of the following. Especially if you're freelance, but I think this applies to most everyone. Don't wait for an invitation. Like myself, I was waiting and waiting for someone to, ask me to start putting myself out there, to allow myself to put myself out there. And outside of college, no adults are going to corner you and ever do that. So it's important that you announce what you'd like to do, tell the world what you'd like to do. Because now I'm a person that hires other people, and I can just tell you that I would like to know where you'd like to go so I can help you. I think that of all my crew members, there's a lot of young people starting out as my loader now. But if they tell me, I'm really interested in camera operating, well, I know that I can insert them when we get our C camera and we got a big day and we get extra cameras. Make it known. I think that's really important. Say yes to everything you can. If you're just starting out, or if you're attempting to make a transition in your career, just say yes to everything you can. I don't think there's anything harmful in there. I said yes to the speaking engagement. This is very terrifying. I think it's made me better. I think it's great. I think the discomfort of saying yes is outweighed by what you learn about yourself. And since I'm still very much growing as a DP, if they offered me pause PI too, would I say yes? Yes, I would. Okay, freelancing is like speed dating. It's just freelancing rules, right? This line of work is like a freight train. Jobs are short, change is constant, the mistakes you make are over quickly, and you meet so many people. This all happens so fast. It's such a unique thing to be able to do steady work as a freelancer, but then experiment with the next level up. That's so brilliant. Most people don't have that advantage. So even if you can get just rudimentary experience in that next level of work, that can translate into your next big job, and I would recommend it. Skills and personality. I think it's probably a given that you're good at your job, you're good in your position. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing it. You'd be found out. I think more important is your ability to be personable and to do your job well when the conditions aren't so hot, when you're working long hours or you have some kind of intense situation. I think that becomes, like, the way you act in those situations becomes the thing that people remember you for. And so when you get the call back, like, you get callbacks from people that want to be in the trenches with you. They just like your personality. So let's remember that. Last, show your work. Super important. I mean, it was for me. Doing this over and over, project after project, like now for a long time. I have like a new prospect in my life, which is people are asking me to direct, which is another big leap. I don't think I have to tell you, but like a director is obviously at the tippy top of a production. Like they oversee everything. Their touch is on everything in all departments. It's like way outside my expertise, but like I'm going to say yes to this because just like every other break that I've had in my whole career, it's like a colleague seeing what I can do and then offering me something that's like just beyond my reach. Like directing just beyond my reach. But like, yes, sign me up. I want to try it. And you know, there's a recent explosion of women getting opportunities in the film industry, and I'm just like happy to be in the midst of that, happy to be contributing to that. So here we go, like, look out for me and my director credits, and I'll see you all out there. Thank you very, very much.